welcome back to Reflecting Shakespeare TV Response Editions. My name is Erika, and I'm a manager and facilitator for the Old Globe's Reflecting Shakespeare program that we've been bringing to people experiencing incarceration since 2016, and which has been so busy during this pandemic time through Reflecting Shakespeare TV, as well as through an in-cell activity packet delivered like a correspondence course. And that correspondence course followed the exact same curriculum that this Reflecting Shakespeare TV program about Much Ado About Nothing did. So before we get deeper into that, let's bring on my co-hosts, James and Niki. Come on, you two. Hey.
Woo! Hey everyone.
Hi everybody, Niki. And we're back, and I'm super grateful to be here delivering these amazing sharings.
Hey everyone, so glad to be here. Can't wait to hear more from the Reflecting Shakespeare participants at Centinela. So let's get into it.
Oh yeah, but hey, before we dive in, curious to hear from the two of you. What do you think stood out most to you about receiving the writing from inside? Niki, what about you?
Oh my God. The thing that stood out to me more than anything was the ability for the men to be so vulnerable, to share their insights. And then the insane part about it is feeling so connected. I could tell by the way they responded and by the way that we responded, like the connection, we just felt connected. And, we're hurting so bad to not be in that space with them, but we were able to provide that connection with them. And we were able to hear about those connections that we were able to make with them from them, and how they felt like this was just, it was so important. And we showed up at a really good time. So their vulnerability and our connection and being able to connect with them is the one thing that really stood out to me more than anything.
What do you think?
Yeah. Thank you, Niki. Yeah, for me, what really stood out, a couple of things, well, like 100 things actually, right? But number one was, for me, feeling how much of this was able to mirror our program when we were in the room as much as possible. And I felt that those connections, Niki, that you talked about that happen in the space were really happening over this correspondence course. And that to me was a real amazing surprise, right? What also I love was hearing just the variety of different answers to one question, like all those different personal experiences, different takes on all those different questions. So just getting all that amazing range of information and response. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah, when I think about an experience of receiving the writing, I can't help but just think about the first batch of writing we got back, because we had already not been in for many months. And the last time we were inside, it was so awkward, that goodbye. It was like all of a sudden, oh, it's COVID. And we've got, like, there was no proper goodbye. And so when we received that first batch of writing, all in this handwriting, so much of this handwriting that we knew from all the writing we've done in program in person, it was just so heartwarming. It really felt like we were with our people again. And that was fantastic. And then the second thing is simply how much deeper we got to know folks that we've known for years, but also how, because of the vulnerability that you talked about, Niki, because of that, how well we got to meet people that we only met through this writing and who we're about to meet in person. And like that for me was just super incredible. All right. So let's hear some more of this writing. Enough about us. We've been doing a couple episodes now, and we're going to have our writing read by an incredible team of formerly incarcerated artists who've joined us for the past 2 series of Reflecting Shakespeare TV.
Okay, so let's do this. In episode 5 of Reflecting Shakespeare TV, the character of Don Pedro started scheming to make the lives of his friends better, to get them matched up in their love relationships that he believed would nourish their lives. This led us to talk about sparking positive changes in others and having positive changes sparked in us. And so we had a fill-in-the-blank type writing prompt that asked, think of someone who you helped spark a positive change, where you were the Don Pedro, and or look at a moment where someone was a Don Pedro to you, and fill in the blanks. This is some of what we received.
I didn't think that I needed to change my angry ways, but Jake took it upon themselves to help me with faith and praise. And the positive change that happened to me was I was no longer ashamed. I justify the change by explaining that I am now happy in this life we play.
D didn't think he could benefit from a change. We've been able to speak and facilitate a self-help workshop, but I took it upon myself to encourage him to step up and offer to step in when I see he needed help. And the positive change that has happened was my dear friend who was no longer with us stepped up and overcame his fear. I didn't think I needed to change my old negative and corrupted ways, but the justice system and the CDRC took it upon themselves to help me by adding rehabilitative programs to give me a second chance. The positive change that happened to me was that I've grown better as a person. Drugs and violence are no longer my outlet. It's the best decision I've ever made.
Didn't think he could benefit from a change with his leg, but I took it up on myself to try and get him to start work on getting him walking again. And positive change happened, and a good thing because he was at a bad point in his life. My Don Pedro was Sam. I didn't think I needed to change my issue with me doing drugs, but Sam took it upon himself to help me by taking me to and getting in some AA-NA meeting, and the positive change that happened to me was a good thing. I justify the change because I need it, because I was on the path of death.
Steve didn't think he could benefit from a change with the loss of his job, mother, and drug addiction, but I took it upon myself to always encourage him that he had the strength to get through the rough times. And the positive thing that happened was he is still doing what he loves as a profession, and now he clean from drugs. I didn't think I needed to change, but Brian took it upon himself to help me by being a great cousin and a friend. And the positive change that happened to me is I've been clean for more than 10 years and graduated college. I made a choice to change my life and take responsibility for my actions.
My sister didn't think she could benefit from a change in an abusive relationship, but I took it upon myself to intervene and help her see her value and self-worth. And the positive change that happened was that she left her abuser and is living a rewarding, fruitful life. I didn't think I needed to change my trust issues, but a friend took it upon themselves to help me the value of trust and being trustworthy. And the positive change that happened in me was I'm becoming more open to social friendships. Without relationships in life, we are lost. People are social beings, and we truly are better when we are not isolated.
Didn't think I could benefit from a change with anger, pride, and warped beliefs, but I took it upon myself to admit that I had a problem, and I got into a number of self-help classes to address my issues. And the positive change that happened was I learned to control my anger, changed my beliefs, and became vigilant. I didn't think I needed to change because my beliefs were mine, but my wife and bro took it upon themselves to help me by explaining to me that the things that I was doing was causing so much harm. And the positive change that happened to me was I stopped being in denial and made a personal inventory of myself. I'm in full control of my life. I no longer share the beliefs of the gang.
Sean didn't think that they could benefit from a change with being shy and somewhat antisocial. So I took it upon myself to take him to a party. And the positive change that happened was he learned to open up and be himself in front of people. I didn't think I needed to change, that I believed I was mature and disciplined enough. But John, my father, took it upon himself to help me by setting up an appointment with an Air Force recruiter. And the positive change that happened in me was I joined the Air Force and eventually grew up. I saw the world, which expanded my view. I wouldn't be who I am today without the experience afforded to me by the military.
John didn't think he could benefit from a change with the fact that he was using drugs daily, but I took it upon myself to talk to him about it. expressing my concern and offering my help. And the positive change that happened was that he opened up about his addiction and wanted my help. I didn't think I needed to change my way of criminal thinking, but Richard took it upon himself to help me by talking to me about why I think the way I do and what I can do to change. And the positive change that happened in me was I began to work on myself and change the way I'd seen things. It's never too late to learn and grow as a person and better yourself.
Oh my God, it is so cool to hear those out loud after reading them and responding to them in the mail. Oh, so as episode 5 unfolded, we saw Don Pedro's plan to match Beatrice and Benedict's work its magic. And by the end of that episode, both Beatrice and Benedict did a total 180 on their opinion about love. So from it not being for them to them going to be able to pursue it, right? Or wanting to pursue it. This turnaround came from them overhearing their powerful conversations, which led us to talk about the power of words. So our reflection questions it was a twofold. So we asked, what was a time you believed your heart was set on something? And it turns out you were swayed to have a change of heart. We also asked, what words have you used to do the following? Build someone up, tear someone down, influence someone positively, and show someone your heart. So let's see what we received.
Well, once I didn't believe in God, but that changed when I felt embraced by love.
Words I've used to build someone up. Come on, buddy, you can do it. You're better than that. I believe in you and always have. Words to tear someone down. You're always going to be the same BS giver. Why don't you just die instead? Why can't you ever do anything right? You're worthless and a big disappointment. Influence someone positively. I told my little brother to always remember that if anyone tells you to do wrong, that's not your friend. Bad influence people will always ruin your life. Just take a look at my life. And to show someone my heart by saying, I love you. I appreciate you. You're so special to me. I'll do whatever it takes just to be able to see you smile and see you happy. You mean the world to me.
When my son was 5 and he told me he was scared, I explained to him that it helps to understand his fear. And once he understands his fear, he wouldn't be as scared anymore. I built up his confidence, but also helped him become self-sufficient in part. To tear down someone is easy. The hard part is building them up. To influence others in a positive way, I reflected in my actions or words. It's about finding the correct or apt words. To show my heart to someone I care about, or just know I do kind things for them. Not because I have to or forced to, but because I know it will put a smile on their face and let them glimpse the true me.
I must say it was in regards to the Shakespeare project. I had decided not to take part in it. I was swayed to have a change of heart by a friend of mine who took part in this class before. He spoke so highly of it and it sparked my interest enough, and I had a change of heart. Words that I've used to build someone up. You may do anything you want. To tear someone down, I don't think you have it in you. To influence someone positively, you have the chance to better yourself. If I can do it, so could you. To show my heart, I'm sharing my emotions to you because I'm able to trust you.
I build someone up by providing words of encouragement and be the best positive role model possible. To see progress, I tell the person to be honest and stop being so prideful and ask for help or advice. This can alter a negative response, but it's worth doing the work. Once he has accepted responsibility, I encourage self-reflection, acceptance, and accountability period to make it work. I give a little example of my personal story and experiences, and that makes the difference. I open doors and connect dots. This is a healthy way to make it work and make a change effectively.
I used to wholeheartedly believe that I would never give up smoking pot. I thought that was who I was, and nothing or nobody could ever change my opinion. I used to think weed made life better and enhanced all my experiences. I've been sober for 9+ years, and now I don't even want to touch it. Words I've used to build someone up. You have this. You're way smarter than you think you are. To tear someone down, if things were as easy as you think they are, everybody would be doing it. It's not that simple. To influence someone positively, you're a good person and you have the capacity to choose a better path for yourself. You can count on me whenever you're ready to make that commitment, to show someone my heart. My love is genuine and I accept you the way you are.
Well, I've made people cry with my words and made them commit crimes in the same matter, something I'm now deeply ashamed of. Well, when you've lived the life I have, there's always some residue of your past life, meaning negativity. But you have to push past that and remember who you are today. No one's perfect is one of my mantras. Long as I remember that, I don't fall into habit and have my heart set on falsehood. I want to do better. I set my heart on that because men are providers, and as a man, I must help, and my choice now is to help and not destroy.
I actually tried to play Cupid as well. I remember my cousin telling me how they liked this one girl I talked to. She liked him as well, but had mentioned to me that she wouldn't make the first move, that it would have to be made by my cousin. So what I did is that I got his phone, sent a text to her asking her out and expressing my cousin's love. And sure enough, it worked. They've been together for almost 9 years with 2 kids. So I guess I do play Cupid pretty well.
I will admit that I was manipulated into this program, which it is beneficial because I enjoy the story and the insight we are gaining behind the story. The truth is, someone whom I yet to find out signed me up for this program without my knowledge. Whoever the phantom signer is, I'm thankful he signed me up.
I think my teacher back in 3rd grade manipulated me for my benefit. I remember when I was in 3rd grade, my teacher asked me, what would I like to be when I grow up? And I remember telling her that I wanted to be a gang member like my cousins and a drug dealer like my uncle, and that I didn't want to keep coming to school anymore. My teacher's response to me was that if I really wanted to be a gang member and a drug dealer, then I couldn't leave or stop coming to school. I remember I asked her why. She then said to me, because in order for you to become a gang member and a drug dealer, you first need to learn how to read and write so you could write on the walls in order for you to sell drugs. So you're going to have to learn lots of math so you can keep track of your income. And since then, I stayed in school, and as time passed by, I decided not to become that gang member or drug dealer. I guess we can say that my teacher tricked me into believing that school was necessary, and I believed her.
At times when I was talking with others and they would bring up something like a news report or something like about history or maybe even a book they just read, I'd act like I don't know the subject so they could explain it to me, and which makes me think about helping me later. So they will read more or pay attention in school to talk to me later. My family would challenge me to do better than so-and-so or tell me I could do better than these others. It was obvious, but a few times it worked.
This is episode 5, Reflection B. Have you ever tried to manipulate someone for their benefit, not yours? Or has someone manipulated you for your benefit, not theirs?
I have. It was one of my past cellmates. He didn't like to work out and just like to sit around and watching TV. I tried many times to have him join me though. Every time he would just refuse. One day, I changed tactics. I told him he was not able to do 10 minutes of cardio. I noticed it got his attention, for it got to his pride and he decided to prove me wrong. He did, though, for the next few days. I kept adding extra minutes, and it got to the point that he started to actually enjoy exercising. And now he does it a few times a week, way more than he did before.
In the past, I had a friend who was also my boss. We worked together for about 10 years. After working at this company for about 3 to 4 years, I started to think I should change jobs because I didn't see a real future there. My boss slash friend manipulated me to stay time and time again by offering more pay and selling the point that it's a dream situation for two good friends to work together. I felt that it was good for his situation to have me stay and not mine. Over time, the company liquidated. I lost my job, went through midlife turmoil. I wish I acted on my intuition.
Yes, I have. I called my wife one time and I lied. Told her I had one of my work vans break down and I needed her help to tow it to my shop. I picked her up at home and we drove about 45 minutes to a car dealership where I purchased a new car for her. It was a surprise, but the look of joy and tears made this one of the most memorable moments of my life.
I would say that in the past, someone has manipulated me in the sense that they told me I couldn't do it or I wasn't good enough because they knew it would only push me to work harder so that I could prove them wrong and show them that I can do it and I am enough.
Right? Oh, I love those. I mean, it sounds like an obvious thing to say, right? But words are powerful. Okay, in episode 6, we dove into the first half of the climax of the play, the wedding scene. All of Don Pedro's work to matchmake Hero and Claudio should have been coming to fruition, but Don John's work to tear it down and cause destruction proved more powerful on that day. By the end of this episode, we saw Claudio taking Hero down at the altar, accusing her of being a loose woman and leaving her for dead as she falls unconscious at the power of all this slander. We also saw the friar concoct a plan to pretend that Hero actually is dead in order to give Claudio a chance to repent and buy time for the truth to come out. We asked our participants to choose one core issue that stands out from this part of the scene and tell us why. This is what we got back.
One core issue, I have to say, is how mischievous Don John is. How could he have so much hate and be so miserable to watch something as beautiful as love go to ruins and make someone's reputation and dignity go to shame? That of Hero. This reminds me of a situation I had once where one of my own cousins tried to make me look bad and tell the mother of my kids, ex-wife, lies about me. She would tell her that I was with her friend, that I was only with her because of our first daughter. Those were lies. She just didn't get along with me and didn't like the fact that I was happy and in love.
Yeah. All right, this is another episode 6 quick write about looking back at the scene and what stands out.
As I read the play, the scene that immediately stood out to me was when Hero's own father was quick to convict. He let everyone disrespect Hero and even went as far to ask, "Hath no man's dagger here a point for me?" At that statement, I wonder, who was that dagger for? Would a man be so willing to kill his own daughter over nothing more than accusations? I like that statement.
Yeah. All right, so this is the episode 6 reflection question. When the friar talks about Hero redeeming herself, he tells her to die to live. What in your life had to die to live?
My whole criminal lifestyle must die so I can become part of the community of the free world. What's coming to my life is freedom.
This is another episode 6 reflection question on Die to Live.
Okay. It was a great education that I am continuing to further daily academically. I love education academically because I can transfer it into my everyday life. Okay. My ego was something I had to let die to live because I used to have a problem asking for assistance in school when I didn't understand the material or the questions being asked. What came out of me letting my ego die was a great education that I'm continuing to further daily academically. I love education academically because I can transfer it into my everyday life.
All right, so this is after the whole wedding scene. Imagine it's intermission. What do you think of the play so far?
I have to say that this play, as of now, has me on the edge of my seat. It's crazy in many different ways. One thing I can point out very quick is that there are some good plotters and wrongdoers. At the top is Don John and Beatrice. They're both acting the same way. Don John plotted this cheating on Hero, which, as of now, has worked out as planned. And because of that, now Beatrice is trying to turn Benedict on his best friend, Claudio. Now Benedict is acting like a fool for love. Well, from where we left on the scene. One should never be asked to prove their love to another. And whoever falls for a question like that, they're being used, in my opinion, especially when it comes to someone's friendship. You're willing to give up all those years of friendship, that bond, for someone you don't know, or if they truly love you, or if it'll last. That ain't good. Overall, I can't wait to see what's next in this play. And yes, I would like a soda, M&Ms, and some popcorn. Extra butter, please.
All right, this is episode 8, Quick Write, Bragging Feels.
Bragging feels good when you've won a game or earned something positive. I've done it because I worked hard for what I bragged about. The benefit was not only a booster to continue with my achievements, but also to encourage others to accomplish theirs. Today, my view on bragging is keep it positive.
All right.
Am I showing well? Or?
Oh yeah, everything's good. No weird digital clouds,
Okay.
hair clouds. All right, this is another episode 8, Quick Write, Bragging Feels.
Bragging feels like metaphorically slapping someone with a sly, bombastic eye poke. I've done it because at times certain individuals needed a humility check in my past. The benefit was, though, certain individuals stopped lording what they obtained over others. Today, my view on bragging is that with humility and good intentions, it's acceptable to brag about accomplishments to express your joy while uplifting, encouraging others that they can do it. Yet when someone brags to put others simply down for no good reason, that's not okay, in my opinion. Also, I do believe that it's acceptable to brag in defense of someone being put down by someone bragging on them. Sort of like popping the hot air sales out of a bully with his own medicine to humble them.
All right, so this is an episode 8, reflection question. What does accountability mean and look like to you?
What accountability means to me, accepting full responsibilities for your actions, no matter what.
This is episode 8, reflection about accountability.
Okay, I still have this. We are accountable for all our actions and behavior in every moment of time. If I decide to be rude to somebody today, I'm accountable for this. The guy I'm rude to is not going to punch the guy next to me for my actions. Theoretically, this guy is going to hold me accountable by punching me in the face. My point being that accountability for a negative, unlawful action carries consequences, like a possible prison sentence or punishment. My advice, be accountable for great, positive actions.
All right, this is the episode 8 question that Letty posed about have you ever changed your perspective after receiving new information or facts?
Well, I don't know if it applies, but I have to say that my perspective changed when I became SNY. I used to have this warped belief that made me dislike others for no reason. If they were from a different gang, different race, or wore a different color, I automatically disliked them. But now over here, I get along with all those I thought I was against. I found out that I actually like these people and have no hate towards them at all.
Here is another one of those episode 8 perspective change responses.
Of course. I've changed my perspective tons of times after learning more about the situation before me. One of the major ones is the concept of incarceration. I never truly thought about prisoners, and if I did, it was that they belonged in prison. Since being an inmate, I've come to see that huge mistake in my thought process. Another one is that before, I thought prison was worse than jail, but the truth is that jail is worse. The living conditions and the treatment of inmates gets better in prison. And it's weird when you're innocent, you're treated like crap in county jail. However, once convicted, you're treated better. How effed up is that?
All right, this is the episode 9 quick write on vulnerability.
I perceive vulnerability as when sometimes I express my feelings to others. Vulnerability makes me feel like I left a part of me open. When I consider expressing vulnerability, I'm usually slow to talk about it. When I've masked vulnerability, an outcome has been not that good. When I received vulnerability and someone was vulnerable to me, it made me feel that I can be open with that person. A positive outcome of expressing vulnerability has been that it can help me to express myself and to not be ashamed. More sense as I go.
All right, this is another episode 9 quick write on vulnerability.
I perceive vulnerability as a suit of armor gilded in hardened feathers. Vulnerability makes me feel exposed to that which renders me bare. When I consider expressing vulnerability, I usually don't. When I've masked vulnerability, an outcome is being that I have had a soft place to land. When I received vulnerability and someone was vulnerable to me, it made me feel worthy of trust. A positive outcome of expressing vulnerability has been an opportunity to know unconditional love.
This is the episode 9 reflection question. And this one specifically is about the second part. What does penitence look like?
Penitence is waiting for the right moment to make amends with someone that you hurt, while it's still fresh in the heads about what happened. Yeah.
All right, this is again the episode 9 reflection question. This is a new one. Sorry, I shouldn't have said again. This is another episode 9 reflection question about why do we let our fears, ego, and masks prevent us from making amends, and what does penitence look like?
It is my opinion and my own personal experience that oftentimes we wait until the last possible minute to make amends. Not because we don't want to or we have not repented of our sins or wrongdoing, but because we are afraid our penitence will not be accepted. Penitence to me looks like doing my time and doing it productively.
All right, this is an episode 10 reflection question. When you think of someone that you could make it right with, what would your way of doing that look like?
First of all, I will set my pride aside. I will approach the person, if it's possible, admit my fault, accepting responsibility and accountability for my wrong actions. I will then express my true and sincere remorse, seeking all possible ways to best correct my actions and the behavior that caused the harm or wrong.
All right, this is the episode 10 last question. What a value are you going to take from this story?
The message that I'm taking from this play is how the power of changing our negative views, perspective of life can bring true healing when one chooses to let things go, seeking forgiveness as well as giving it. It reminds me of a quote from a book I read. It is not the world that has anything wrong with it. It is the lens by which we view it that's wrong with it. To change this, it requires to change the prescription of our lenses in a positive way of viewing the world. Then we can begin to change ourselves. Okay.
Well, this is another response to the very last episode 10 question about what are you going to take from this story?
Claudio's story resonates with me so loudly because my insecurities have been played on once or twice. The people who know you are well versed in pulling your strings. It's that sticks and stones thing. Let me do this one more time. I'm sorry. Claudio's story resonates with me so loudly because my insecurities have been played on once or twice. The people who know you are well versed in pulling your strings. It's that sticks and stones thing. The value here is to try not to let people in your world or space that are there to do you harm. In the past, I let many people correct me. So I'm sorry, my eyes ran into each other again. Is this the last one?
It is. It's the last one.
Of course, it would do that. Okay, one more time.
Yeah, no sweat, in your own time.
Claudio's story resonates with me so loudly because my insecurities have been played on once or twice. The people who know you are well versed in pulling your strings. It's that sticks and stones thing. The value here is to try not to let people in your world or space that are there to do you harm. In the past, I let so many people corrupt me. So reading Claudio's story, it reminds me to remain vigilant when it comes to destructive people, because I know the old me is always on the surface itching to get out. So I can't afford to let anyone pull my strings or deceive me in such a way that causes me to do harm.
There was one more thing I could think of my old beliefs. I valued my status and my reputation more than anything in life. My selfishness and destructive lifestyle led me to live careless of others, hurting them emotionally, physically, and psychologically. This is a shameful reminder of who I was and who I don't want to ever be again. It also serves as a reminder of the impact and the effects we have on others, including the ones we love, when we choose to do wrong.
core belief that stands out to me is doubt. Doubt can be a vicious thing that can lead to pernicious behavior and actions. For me, doubting myself led to a harmful mindset and overall view of myself. This self-doubt led me to make negative decisions. These decisions led me to prison. But now the knowledge that I can improve myself and gain self-confidence is already within myself and can assist me in finally making correct decisions and getting out of prison. One word, check out faith.
The issue that stands out is how a day or an event can turn out so differently to what you had expected or hoped for. And this stands out to me because I hoped for a better day than the day I had when I put myself in a situation to put me in prison.
What stands out to me in the scene is that all this controversy has arisen due to sinister plotting and scheming on the part of Don John. Yet the minister Friar Francis comes up with quite the scheme and plot to come to the truth. Fight fire with fire. Go get him, Friar Francis.
The false accusations against Harold, the reason being that they are lies set against her character. I am able to relate for the simple reason that I had a similar experience. I was accused of a robbery in my neighborhood that I was not at all. I had the same clothes as the suspect, thus right away the victim was pointing me out. Eventually, I was at my neighbor's party and had a lot of witnesses vouching for me at that time the crime took place. If not, I would have been arrested.
I've had my own experience like Hero, where I was slandered and falsely accused of something I didn't do. I was blamed for spreading a rumor that I never did. I was known for not doing that and being drama free. However, the power of the people's beliefs, I am, despite the overwhelming evidence I provided in my defense, I lost. No one believed me, even though no one could trace it to me, and the source was the friend of the victim of the rumor, other than me. As it turns out, jealousy was behind it all, since her friend wanted to break us up in hopes I'd date her instead. Instead, I called her out on our bullcrap, and it backfired on her, with me hating her in the end.
The core issue that stands out to me is that Don John is campaigning a lie and is doing it very successfully. The only character that suggests that it must be a misunderstanding is Friar Francis. In my experience, it reminds me of Donald Trump's accusations of a wrecked election. His support is so quick to back him up and ask him something they know deep down is false. When does someone step up and say this accusation is false? And I think we should reevaluate the accuser's integrity and honesty.
The issue that stands out to me is passing judgment and jumping to conclusions. I'm guilty of doing this myself. I used to be a very judgmental person with very little unverifiable information about an individual, and I would quickly form an opinion about them. Now I tend to withhold judgment and give the benefit of the doubt. Every person's perspective or opinion differs, and I'm not easily influenced as I've learned to recognize the differences in opinions.
As I read the play, the scene that immediately stood out to me was when Hero's own father was quick to convict. He let everyone disrespect Hero and even went as far to ask, "Hath no man's dagger here a point for me?" At that statement, I wonder, who was that dagger for? Would a man be so willing to kill his own daughter over nothing more than accusations?
What I see and I'm focused on is confirmation bias. Claudio is allowing himself to become convinced that the circumstances suggest he is being betrayed are in fact unassailable proof of that betrayal. Once his senses suggested to him that what he believed deep down was actually true, namely that Hero was out of his league, and he wondered how could she really love him. He allowed that bias to fill in the blanks when he thought he saw her betray him, never demanding or needing any further proof. I myself have allowed confirmation bias to trick me on any number of occasions in the past.
I've been in hero's position before. My character has been center stage before, where I've had to prove that someone has made things up on me. Even when I've done bad things, I still try to remain honorable to the code of the streets, meaning that I never hurt kids, old people, or people who wasn't living my lifestyle. When you're doing wrong, there's no way to be honorable, but still, I wouldn't let anyone lie on me. Even when I was living that life, I claimed my wrongs, but didn't accept things that wasn't me.
Sheesh. That's some good stuff right there. It's so amazing that a play that was written over 400 years ago can be so relatable on so many different levels. As we got deeper into examining this scene, we posed a journaling question based on a phrase the friar uses to convince Hero to go along with his plan, that she should go into hiding and pretend to be dead until the truth can come out about her. So he tells her, die to live. Man, this really struck me as something that many of our participants could relate to, because I was able to find so much value in that concept. And so we asked, is there a time in your life where you had to die to live? What had to die? And with that, what was able to come to life as a result of you being brave enough to let that die? So let's hear some of these powerful responses.
My whole criminal lifestyle must die so I can become part of the community of the free world. What's coming to my life is freedom.
I can say I actually lived this diet to live. The day I got stabbed 17 times, everybody there and out on the streets thought and believed I was dead. After the incident, I had a hard choice to make, and I had to die to live. I dropped out. The moment I made that decision, I knew what I had to let go of, and it hurt. But my pride, my ego, my reputation, my name, my life, who I believed I was, I let it die. Now with that, I'm finally getting to know myself. I found out that I do care. I do love life, love myself. And I'm starting to be comfortable with myself. It was hard, but with baby steps and with God, I finally got to see who I am. And I love it.
Yes. My ego, reputation, a new me that is able to live free.
Their thinking and beliefs had to die in order for me to live. I found the courage to face my past, see where I went wrong, the damage I created, and the people I hurt. After many years of living blind in my beliefs and way of thinking, I had to make sure to let them die, because I realized that it wasn't just unhealthy for me, but for others as well.
From my own journey, I've had to let die my false beliefs. These beliefs were of me having to be in a gang to prove my worth and gain acceptance. My false belief that violence solves problems. My false belief that I wasn't good enough. Now that these beliefs have died, I've gained a whole different view, an outlook on life's possibilities.
What had to die for me was my old ways, gang involvement, faulty thinking, and criminal behavior. And what came to my life was my positive life change, and that will help me contribute to the best interests of my family, friends, and my community.
I must say for me, it had to be my stubbornness and big ego. I always tend to do the opposite, regardless of the situation or thought process. I did not want to listen to reason and wanted my own way. As a result, I have become more open minded and now have way more common sense. I tend to analyze whatever situation arises, and if I'm not able to reach a conclusion myself, I ask for advice from those close to me and actually pay attention and listen.
As a youth, I made lots of mistakes that affected countless people, my family, including myself. As a result, I created an image and character of a destructive person. I was prideful and wouldn't allow myself to be seen as a coward. As I grew older, I began to see and notice how my reputation was of an evil person. I decided to change. and replace those character defects with spiritual principles. My old self died and a new me emerged. I am very glad I made the decision to die to live.
I can imagine that everybody's answer to this question will be the same. But nevertheless, I do feel that this stage of my life is the happiness. I love life and I love living. Even though it would seem obvious and maybe even human nature to pursue things that make you happy, most times this is not so. Culture, environment, or social pressures might take precedent and make you act to your own detriment. For me to live, I had to let my detrimental ideology die.
My ego was something I had to let die to live, because I used to have a problem asking for assistance in school when I didn't understand the material or the questions being asked. What came out of me letting my ego die was a great education that I'm continuing to further daily academically. I love education academically because I can transfer it into my everyday life.
I was born John, and sometime later I became a character named J Mouse. And later still, I grew into a man who people now call Ascari. The sad truth is that all the good parts of John had to die whenever J Mouse found full expression. Then J Mouse had to be executed for John to reemerge, then merge with, and later become Ascari.
One of the ways I can relate to this is that I had to let my pride die so that the relationship between my brother and I could live. By putting my pride aside, I was able to work out differences, reconciliate with my little brother.
My old lifestyle had to die in order for my future with my family to be better.
Yes, I had to let go of my past in order to live. Because if I would have continued down the road I was on, I would have died. No one could keep up that nonsense. Us against them. That is entirely wrong when we all make up the human race. In order to get rid of prejudice, you have to put yourself in other shoes. And how you do that is you got to get to know people who you don't understand. I'm open now instead of having a closed mind. And it has benefited me more than I've imagined.
Coming to jail to fight a life sentence is when I had to die to live. Being in prison with a life sentence can feel worse than death sometimes. At least when you're dead, people visit your grave annually and bring you flowers. Many of us, we don't even get visits, not even a letter to ask about our well-being. It's like we've never existed. So when you feel as if you are less than a ghost, you either do two things: fall deeper into oblivion, or you start living, not just existing. Living is making your life meaningful, whether the world, the community around you, or to yourself. And that is what I did. Today, I know that any relationship I enter, whether romantic or platonic, I will bring value to it. How about you?
Whoa. Okay, that got real. I am so grateful that our folks inside trusted us with their hearts and their words. It is so powerful to hear all of this truth.
It's so powerful.
All right. Whoa. So we're going to cap this episode off with those thoughts. So with that, let's do a one-word checkout. One word with how you're feeling right now. I'm going to throw it to Niki.
Outstanding. Erika?
It's powerful. James?
Truth.
All right. And with that, we will do what we do best. Clap in sync on time. Ready? Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye-bye.